I am neurodivergent. I have ADHD. I was diagnosed when I was 5, when ADHD was not even a word then. And so just to tell you, I have my handy dandy paper because of that, because my ADHD will take us off on tangents. So I have to refer back to this. Unless you want to be here 3 hours, you don't, I don't either. All right, so I am the Calm Mom Coach. But even if you're not a mom, that's okay, because the strategies I'm gonna give you today, it's gonna help you in your business, it's gonna help you in every relationship, and if you have kids, it will help you with that too. So, I wanna do a poll. How many people in the audience are stressed? And let's see. Okay, all right. Now let's do even a little bit of deeper poll. Go ahead and click. How many have mild stress? You feel like you're good. You're handling things. Okay. Okay. 3. Okay. 4. Okay, we got a few. What about moderate? Like some days you're good and other days you're bad. Okay. What about severe? You feel like your world is on fire. Okay.
That too.
Okay.
I'm all of it.
So we have a good mix of everyone. So the good news is that I will cover something for everyone to be able to take away. And you, I promise you, if you will have an open mind, you're going to get some nuggets here today that you can put into action immediately. All right. So let's talk about my client, Amy. She works in construction, and she came to me. It's a male-dominated industry. She's very niche down. There are 0.5% women in her market. How many, what's the percentage?
I don't know, not enough.
Not enough, right, okay. And so she was in the Good Old Boy Network. Do you guys know anything about that?
Yeah.
Okay, you know all about that. And they even dismissed her. They would always assume that her husband owned the company, right?
Always.
Her husband was running it. And she talked about how many times they would kind of chuckle or laugh when she would say, no, I'm the owner. I actually do all the work. I get my hands dirty. My husband isn't even involved in the business. So she even faced some competitors sabotaging her. What they would do is they would cut down her signs in the middle of the night. She would place her signs on the side of the road, and it was like those on the post, on the wood post, and she would come by and they were gone. And this happened over and over again. Her competitors would even review her on Google and give her 1-star reviews. They disliked her that much because she was a woman. How dare she come into their industry and wreak havoc, so to speak. But in spite of all that, she created $1 million business. Woo! Amy was successful, but every little thing took her over the edge. She was attached to her phone 24/7. How many of you feel like you're attached to your phone 24/7? Yeah, there's a nice portion of you. She was struggling. She's also ADHD. I tend to gravitate. Those who have ADHD tend to gravitate to me because I know how to help you get through it. She would always call herself an Italian with a temper when she came to me. And this is the thing, she was drinking a bottle of wine every single night to relax and decompress. She was that stressed, and she was barely hanging on. And she was afraid if she didn't respond to the employees, if she didn't 24/7, if she didn't respond to the problem clients, that her business would take a big fall and everything would come crashing down. Have you ever felt that if you stop, everything is going to come crashing down? Is there anyone here? Okay, yeah, we got a lot of people in here. So she was successful, but she was unhappy with her business. She was unhappy in her marriage. She was unhappy with her kids. And although my oldest just left, how many have that one kid? She had that one kid that drove her insane. How many have that one? I have both of my hands up. My middle son, oh my goodness, let's talk after. And so she was unhappy, but she became my biggest cheerleader. She stopped drinking her bottle of wine every night. She no longer argues with her husband over, as she calls it, stupid things. She stopped being attached to her phone. Her words and not mine, so excuse me if you're offended. She said, I'm no longer an asshat. Those are her exact words. She said she's a brand new person and she learned how to balance it all. So go ahead. This could be your Amy moment. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to teach you some of the same strategies that I taught Amy. Here's the thing, and Amy is not her real name, by the way. I'm gonna teach you some of the same strategies that I taught Amy. And this is the thing, I only have 45 minutes to an hour with you. So I spent hours and days with her. I won't be able to give you everything, but I think what I'll give you today will be very beneficial. So maybe you're attached to your phone. Maybe you're a workaholic or a perfectionist or a people pleaser. Maybe you're drinking a bottle of wine or a cocktail or 2 or 3 or 4, or maybe your drink of choice is a beer. Maybe you're triggered constantly, and maybe you're neurospicy too. That's what we call ADHD for those of you who are not neurospicy. Or maybe you just struggle with finding calm and balance in your life. So let me just say this. I'm not necessarily the inspirational rah-rah type coach. I'm going to give you actionable strategies so you will be able to leave here and be able to do things that actually matter in your business, in your relationship, and in your life. And that will create more balance. So this process that I'm going to teach I've taught it to hundreds of women. And let me just pause here. I actually hate public speaking. Whether you know it or not, this is not the fun part. But what is fun is that I get to help you make changes in your life. And so I am excited to be here with you. So here's something, and you probably heard this saying, I kind of tweaked it. You're only as happy as your least happiest relationship. And so let me tell you, you have a relationship with your business. You have a relationship, you can go ahead and click. You have a relationship with your business and your career. You have a relationship with yourself. You have a relationship with your partner. And you have a relationship with family and friends. So guys, I want you to understand. So when I say you're only as happy, what I'm talking about is a deep down happiness, not the fake persona. Guys, it's human to be fake. Let me give you an example. I was fake, so I've been married 25 years. 15 years ago, I wanted a divorce. I was miserable in my marriage. I did not want to be married. We had a failed business. We lost everything. I was depressed. I went through all of the things that you can imagine. I was over drinking and all of the things. But I didn't want everyone to know that. So if you looked at me from the outside, you thought I had it all going on, which I didn't. And so sometimes we're not trying to be fake. We're just, especially as women, we put on a mask because that's what we were told strong women do. We put on that mask and we go on and we keep forging forward. The problem is that doesn't benefit us at all. So the tools I'm gonna give you are gonna help you with a more balanced life. Here's the thing, if you have hell in your relationship, that's gonna seep into your business, and vice versa. If you have hell in your business, it's gonna move into your relationships. It's hard not to take it home with you. So let's get started. Let me just say this. I have a different approach to balance. So I wanna give you some strategies and tools that will help you get to more balance. We can't even talk about, I can't tell you only work 8 hours a day if you feel like you're not accomplishing anything in those 8 hours, right? You're working 12 or 14 hours because you feel like you have to. You feel like that's the only way for you to be productive. So we're gonna take a look at why this is going on.
Sorry. This is a very different presentation.
Okay, so what takes your capacity to the max? So I'm gonna use this empty glass. This is your container. What's in your container? And you see the container there. Your thoughts are in this container, whether they're positive or negative. Your thinking about your to-do list is into this container. Your actions, your reactions are in this container, whether positive or negative. Last-minute requests, someone cutting you off in traffic, that goes into this container. Emails, phone calls, everything you do is in this container. The problem is when you reach capacity, nothing else can go into this container, right? And so you can't function, and this is the thing. Negative thoughts and emotions take up more space than neutral and positive ones. Let me give you an example. Have you ever had a problem with your phone or your computer? You're trying to reboot it, you're not trying to reboot it, you're trying to make it work. And someone comes up, it happens to me when I'm to capacity. My daughter will say, well, did you restart it? And I'm like, I didn't even think about restarting it. Why? Because I'm to capacity. I can't even do common sense things when I'm to capacity. So my goal here today is to help you learn how to decrease what you're putting in your container, because this is all you got. You can't get a second glass. It doesn't work like that. This is all you have, and you have to work with what you got. Let me just put this disclaimer out there. I am not about toxic positivity. Everything will not be rainbows and sunshine. There are some times when you're going to have struggle days, struggle moments, struggle months, struggle years even. You have to be okay with that, because there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, that's fine, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, here's some signs that you're to capacity. Forgetfulness, and it's out of...
We're all done.
There's our nugget. Oh, that explains it.
This is out of the ordinary forgetfulness. This didn't used to happen to you. What ends up happening is you're like, how did I forget that? I just looked at my calendar last night. I knew it was at 2 o'clock today, and I didn't even do it. I forgot completely about it. Unproductive days, and that feel heavy. Here's what I mean by that. You will be busy going nonstop all day long, and then when you look back, you're like, what did I accomplish? I didn't check anything off of the to-do list. That is a sign that you may be to capacity. Easily triggered. What I mean by that is things that shouldn't set you off are setting you off. Little bitty things. And when you look at it, you're like,
One more time. Stop eating with the
I've been there. Guys, that means you're to capacity. Because guess what? Whoever that is breathing, he or she has always been breathing like that. Insomnia. And what I mean by that is when you put your head on the pillow, it takes you 20, 30 minutes or longer. Why? Because your brain is going. You're thinking about, okay, I need to do that tomorrow. Oh, why did I do that? I made that mistake. I should have known better. I shouldn't have hired him. I shouldn't have hired her. You're going through all of this as soon as your head hits the pillow. That's one form of the insomnia that I'm talking about. The second one is the one that I used to suffer with. When I would wake up I'm hitting 50. I am 50. I used to be able to say I'm hitting 50. I'm hitting 50. So guess what I do? I have to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the restroom. And so when I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I did this in my 40s too, my brain would start going. And it would even keep going, and before I knew it, I would look at my phone. I'm like, I've been up 30 minutes. I put it back down. Been up an hour and a half. I put it back down.
Right?
That's smart.
Right?
That's very
Exactly.
smart. That's very smart. But I'm just like, I need those last 4 hours of sleep. Lack of energy or enthusiasm. The things you used to have passion for, you no longer have passion for them anymore. Here's another one. You're not present with those you love. They're irritating you. You're triggered. They're getting on every single nerve you have and the ones you don't. And so when they're there, you're just actually physically present, but you're not emotionally present. You don't even really, if you're honest, you might not even like them a lot. And so, and then frequent illness. This is one that we don't realize, although it happens. Stress causes illness. Your immune system will be lower, so you'll catch every little cold. Your throat will always have a little tickle in it. It may be ear infection. It seems like you can't get over this cough or whatever it is. Also, stomach aches are a big one, and headaches and migraines may be caused because you're to capacity. Alienation, and I know all my introverts are saying, that's not a good thing, that is a good thing. This is the thing, I'm talking about the alienation where you are not just saying, okay, I need time to decompress and just be with myself, so because I like alone time, not that kind. The kind where you're like, I want to run away and never come back because everyone is driving me crazy. That's the alienation that I'm talking about. So balance is impossible when this is full. I want you to get that. I could come in here and say, okay, you need work-life balance, cut your hours, put boundaries on your business, but if you have this full container, there's no way possible for you to even have the wherewithal, the mental capacity to be creative and do the things that you need to do for balance. Okay, so protect your container. Triggers show you where you aren't free. So if you're an employee, if your partner, if your in-laws, if your kids, whomever, if they are triggering you, that shows you where you need to do some work. No one makes you mad. And I know you're saying no, but you're not married to my spouse. No. No one makes you mad. And I'm gonna give you an example. So we're in Texas. So we have good old boy Bob. And you're at a conference, not an amazing conference like this. You're at a conference where you have the Good Old Boy Network too. So good old boy Bob is from your city, and you know each other, and you really don't like each other. So he moseys, who knows what moseys is? Are you guys? He moseys on up to you. I imagine him in a cowboy hat. Do you know what? I know
She's from Australia.
Yeah. I imagine him in a cowboy hat and some boots. And he said, hey, your client, Mrs. Jones, just came on over to my company because she said your company is horrible. How many people will be kind of pissed or feel some kind of way about him? Yeah. So here's the thing. Miss Jones is a pain in the... She's a PETA, right? You don't want her. She calls all the time to complain. When we see her number come up on caller ID, we're like, it's Miss Jones again, right? She is that type of customer. So it's not the point that you really want Miss Jones. It's the point that he had the audacity and is arrogant enough to come up to you and tell you.
I just like that.
Or shook his hand and said, thank you, Jesus.
Hold on. Guess what you're doing? You're pouring into that container when you do that.
Oh.
So this is the thing. Then we have person number 2. Good old boy Bob comes up to person number 2 and tells her the same thing. But she has your response. I am relieved and amused because now you have the biggest headache I've ever dealt with in my life. Good for you. Here's what I want you to understand. It's not what good old Bob does and says. It's your thoughts about good old Bob. And if you want to decrease this container, good old Bob is not worth your time, your energy. You got to let it go. You got to look for things that bring you to a place of more neutrality. Does that make sense? Yeah. You might not be excited about it, but if you can learn to take a step back and get really curious, why am I so mad? I don't even want Mrs. Jones in the first place. Like, why am I getting angry? Like, good for you. You're getting exactly what you need. Same situation. You both are getting exactly what you need.
You deserve each other.
Same situation, but 2 different responses. So that's why I'm saying no one makes you angry or sad or hurt. It's your thoughts about their actions. So my husband has an uncle who's no longer with us, but they played dominoes. I don't know if you guys know what dominoes are, but this was his favorite saying. And he would slam that domino on the table and say, all money ain't good money, right? And if you play dominoes, you probably know what that means. But this is what I'm saying. All the clients are not for you. Some clients you have to bless and release. If Ms. Jones is taking up so much space, you have to be okay with saying to Ms. Jones, we can't service you anymore. And this goes for anything. Like, I'm protecting my container. And the problems you have with Ms. Jones, you probably, all the time you spend, all the times your texts spend, all the time everyone spends, you could have gone out and got 30 customers that you don't even know their name.
Right.
And you know why you don't know their name? Because there are no problems. Those are the perfect ones, right? So I want you to understand peace over everything. Ask yourself when you're about to argue with good old boy Bob, when you're about to argue with your partner, when you're about to say something to your child, and if you have adult kids, it doesn't get better. If you have young kids, don't think that it gets better. It only magnifies, because now they can really make stupid mistakes. So true. It does not get better. It's just different. It's not better. Is this worth my peace? And 9 times out of 10, it's not. And a lot of my clients who have relationship issues, they'll say, but it's not fair. And I will ask them, do you want a fair life or do you want a calm one?
Woo, say that one more time.
Do you want a fair one or a calm one? You typically can't have both. And if you always want to prove your point to whomever, it's like putting a water hose on this. You've got to release it because this is making you miserable. Is it worth the pour? Most of the time it's not. Okay, so here's another tip. Do what you dislike first thing in the morning. For me, I despise getting stuff together for tax time. It is something I dread. And what I used to do, I would put it on my calendar, and I would say, okay, after all my client calls, 2 o'clock, after lunch, we're gonna do the taxes. And all morning I'm like, oh my God, this is tax day. And then an hour later, okay, in between clients, okay, Aerica, you got this. We're doing taxes today, but I don't want to do it. I hate this. Why do we have to do? I'm ruminating. I am pouring. And every time I think about it, I ruminate over it, I dread it, I'm pouring into my container. And so what ends up happening is, if I'm not careful, I'll put it off another day. Because it's just, I don't have time now, right? Or I'll forget about whatever. I'll conveniently snooze it and forget to come back to it. I have spent maybe 50 times pouring into my container when I could have done it first thing in the morning, had one dreadful pour, and I'm done. So if there's something, what do you guys dread? Taxes, yeah, who else? Okay, we're here. Who else? What else? Is anything else you dread doing? Paperwork.
Callbacks.
Interviews, callbacks. Going to the gym. I hate exercising, so in order for me to do it, I have to do it in the morning. Because I will put it off and put it off and put it off.
And then you're too tired.
Okay. Terminations. So let's talk about terminations. A lot of times what will happen, and I am not, this is what happens when you're ADHD and you're all the way on different, okay. So a lot of times with terminations, what will happen is we dread it. We will think about their families, because we're human. We will think about, but they're a good person. If they are a good person, sometimes they're not. But they're a good person and all of the things. But here's the problem. You can't sacrifice your container for them. No matter how good they are. No matter how much This is going to impact their family. You are detrimentally hurting your container, your peace, your life, your business when you don't make these decisions and then make them quickly. It takes up so much capacity. I want you to think about all the things that happen when you have someone that you need to terminate. First of all, more than likely you have to lighten their load because they're not capable. You're pouring into the container. More than likely you're having to do damage control. You're pouring into your container. It is not fair to you guys. So this is what I will say, and I was told this by a business coach: you be slow to hire and quick to fire. Because usually by the time you get to terminations, you've already tried to help them. You've already put a plan in place, like, hey, this is where we're going wrong. Like, what's your struggle here? How can I help you? And you've done all that you can do. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it's killing your container when you don't terminate like you should. Bless you. Okay, failures. How many like to fail? And where am I on time?
I do. I don't like them.
Okay. Oh, that's...
But I learned from it.
Yes, so good. We got a couple of people who are in here. I think I saw maybe 5 hands. That's awesome. Failures are vital, and they're inevitable. So Sarah Blakely, who knows who Sarah Blakely is? Okay, you heard of Spanx? She is the CEO of Spanx, and let me tell you, she started in 2000. Talking about going into a good old boy network, she was going up against the billionaire big dogs, right? Think about all the people. My grandmother used to call them girdles. They didn't call them shape. Now they're shapewear, right? But my grandmother called them girdles. That was the Hanes, the maiden forms. That was not an easy feat, but this is what her dad did when she was growing up. He would sit her down and ask her, how did you fail this week? And that was powerful when I read that. He was encouraging failures. Why? Because he knew that success was on the other side of failures. It's inevitable. You're going to have failures. And there are 2 different types of people with failures. One can be like, oh my God, why did I do that? I knew better. How stupid of me. Like, I'm not going to be able to recover. This cost me $20,000. Why did I do that? The other person can be, you know what? It's done. There's nothing I can do about it. Now, this is what I want you to understand. I want you to process it. But the key is to watch your energy here, because you can say, it's nothing I can do about it, but on the inside, you're feeling some kind of way. So what I'm saying is you have to be the same way verbally, externally, and internally. So it doesn't matter if I'm like, it's fine, but it's really not. You might as well explode as opposed to just keeping that stuff down. This is how I get through it, and this is how I recommend my clients get through it. So process it. If it's a major failure, I am pro therapy. Go sit down on the couch. I sit down on the couch all the time because I need to work. I'm imperfect. I was raised by imperfect people who were raised by imperfect people. I'm married to an imperfect person. I live with imperfect kids who drive me crazy sometimes. Sometimes I'm the uncalm mom, but you know what I have? I have tools and strategies so I don't live there. In my past, I used to live there. I would be angry for weeks or days, give the silent treatment for several days. I'm not talking to you, right? That's not what I do now. I still have my uncalm moments. I work through them, and I'm able to quickly bring myself back to center. So I process it, and let me tell you one way I process it. I will say, this is hurt, or this is disappointment. It's okay to feel hurt or disappointment or whatever I'm feeling. I'm human. And I keep just repeating myself. I allow it. I don't tell myself I shouldn't be hurt, I shouldn't be upset. I just allow it to be. I love laughing. And there are studies that have shown laughing is beneficial to you mentally and physically. My favorite new movie, it's not new, it's old, it's probably 10 years old. Has anyone seen Wedding Ringer with Kevin Hart? That movie is hilarious to me. So if you like stupid comedy, go watch Wedding Ringer. But I watch that when I'm having a rough day, when I made a mistake, and then what else I do? I listen to music soothes the savage beast. Guys, if you are having a rough day, there's a song for that. There's a song, if your spouse left you and your dog got run over, there is a song for that. There's a song for everything out there. If you made a mistake and you need to pick up the pieces, there's a song out there for that. So listening to music just soothes my soul. So I like Katy Perry. I love hip hop. I like Drake. I like Katy Perry. I love Pink because Pink is just... Every song, guys. Who doesn't like Pink? She is amazing. And then once I'm finished, I've processed it, I've moved through it, I've kind of lifted my mood a little bit. I look for the lesson. Because you can't look for the lesson if you're upset, or if you're sad, or if you're disappointed. But when I take a step back, and I can really be calm and centered, then I look, what can I learn through this? There's something I can learn. Maybe if it was a bad relationship, maybe I can learn that's not who I want. Like, what are the signs? I see the signs now. Now I can freely go out there and find exactly who I want. Focus, okay. What do you guys see? Who sees the old lady?
Oh, I did not see the old lady.
Yeah, I see the young lady.
Yeah, so typically what happens is you'll only focus on one. You won't see the young lady, you'll see the old lady, or vice versa. But this is the thing, once you see them both, then you can't unsee it. Right. Once you see them both, you start jumping back and forth. So this is the older lady's, who doesn't see it still? You good? Okay. Older lady's chin and mouth. The young lady's nose turned to the side. Yeah. Okay. This is the problem with... I want you to work on your focus. I'm making sure I'm okay with time. Okay, perfect. What you focus on grows, guys. I want you to get that. I want you to understand what tends to happen with humans, we focus on what we don't want. We don't focus on what we want more of. No, you're good. And this is the problem. When we focus on what we don't want, we create more of what we hate. So that is I want you to understand that. Let's see, where am I? Okay, here we go. So remember, negative emotions take up more capacity, right? So if we're focusing on what we don't want, what do you think that's doing to your capacity? Killing your container. Like your container is to the roof. So the goal is to focus more on what you do want. And whether that's in relationships, whether that's in your business, no matter what, in any realm, you need to focus on what you want more of. So do you guys remember Brand New Love? When you're first in love, they can do no wrong. Right? And let me tell you why. Because your filter is kicking out anything negative. It's not that they were perfect. It's that all you were searching for was the good. Oh my God, did you see him? Oh my God, right? You're searching for the good. You don't see anything bad at all. But what happens over time? Over time, you're over here, and you give him the side eye, and he or she can scratch, and you're just like, ugh, right? and so I'm saying that to say, he or she did not change. Typically, they are who they are. Now, maybe they were a little bit more polished at the beginning. Maybe they didn't burp and fart in front of you, and maybe they did, and maybe you thought it was cute, right? It's no longer cute at all, right? And that's because we are focusing on what we don't want. I had a client, and she came to me, and she said, my husband never does anything to completion. And I'm like, really? I said, nothing. And she said, absolutely. She paused. And she was like, nope, not one thing. I said, okay. I said, your homework until next week, I want you to look for something that he does to completion. She came back that next week and she was like, oh, I have 8 things that he does. It's interesting. She wasn't looking. Her brain would only look for stuff he didn't complete. And it would kick out everything that he completed. She came back with a list of at least 8 or more things. Why? Because she was looking for it. Okay. Only focus on what you want. We're going to solve the problems. I'm not saying toxic positivity. We're not going to be like, oh, I'm not seeing any bad. Not seeing any bad. That's not what I'm saying. If there's a problem, you're going to solve it, but you're going to come right back to focusing on what you want. So the British rowing team in 1998, they hadn't won a gold since 1912. And so what they decided to change their approach, because in the past what they were working on is, why did we lose time? That was their focus on something negative. What they did was they decided, we're only going to do things, we're going to use this filter, will it make the boat go faster? If it won't make the boat go faster, we're not going to even consider it. So every decision they made was filtered through, will it make the boat go faster? So there was no negative focus. This is what I found. A lot of times when we're in business, let's say for instance we have 10 employees. 6 are struggling over here, 4 are doing it amazing over here. We'll go focus and coach the 6, trying to get them to be where they need to be, instead of going over here and looking at the 4 and saying, what are you guys doing differently? I'm focusing on what I want, not what I don't want. I'm focusing over here, so then I can go train the people who can't figure it out over here. And they have done so many studies on this, where they go and they focus on how you're doing things right. I want you to focus on, and then this is the other thing. When you're focusing on what's going right, you're not feeling your container as much. You always harping. Now maybe terminations are in order over here, but let's focus. Let's try first just to focus on what's going wrong. What's going right. And they won in 2000. So one of my clients, she's a new client, she's a gardening coach. I didn't even know this was a thing, but apparently it is. So she's a gardening coach, and her goal is to make $1 million. Yes, you can make $1 million as a gardening coach. Didn't know.
Wow. Yeah. In California.
She's in Texas. She's in Houston with me. Go back.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I think.
Nope, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Oh.
And so I don't typically coach on business, but this time we did. And I say business because it just comes in, it's a part of your life. And so her goal is to make $1 million. And so she has contractors, not a fleet of vehicles. She has contractors who work for her. And so I was basically asking her, I said, okay, your goal is $1 million. So she was trying to decide if she was going to purchase car wash packages, like the monthly packages for her contractors. And so what we did is I said, well, let's filter it against your goal. Is that going to get you to $1 million or support you to get to $1 million? Her answer was no. Now, if her goal was to increase her image in the community, then car washes may have been in order. But in that situation, it wasn't. So guys, sometimes if we have one singular focus, and if we filter everything through that focus, whether it's make more money or have more clients or decrease expenses, if we filter that through that lens, it will change everything. And this can apply to your relationships. This can apply to anything. Your focus on what the child, I don't care if they don't do anything right. If they're breathing correctly, praise them for breathing quietly, right? All right. So focus on your gains and not the gaps. So I got this from a book, The Gap and the Gain. Has anyone read that book? It's probably in my top 5. It's an excellent book. And so what they basically say is, we have a present right now. We have where we started. So this is where we started. This is our present. This is our future. This is our future. This is where my goal, my dreams, this is where I want to be. But right now I'm here. And what ends up happening is the brain forgets where we started. The brain doesn't think about day one in your business. Think about when you were probably your only employee, or maybe you had one other person. A lot of times we're only focusing on where we want to be. And the problem with the brain is that it keeps moving the finish line. It'll say, okay, I just want to make 50K when you first start. Then it's like, okay, I want to make 6 figures. Then it's, I want to make 500K. And you keep moving. And now this is your present. But you're not happy here because your new goal is there. And so you move over a little bit and you're not happy here. What it says is you have to learn to be happy right here, no matter what's going on, even if you're having a rough year, because you have to look at where you came from and the lessons you learned. And if you do that, that is how you have an amazing life. A miserable life is when you're always looking into the future and your happiness is always outside of you. Your happiness is never right here, right now. You have to rewire your brain to do this because the human brain does it automatically. It's just like when you get a new house. You're all excited about the new house or the new car, and then you come to the house and after a while it's just a house. It's just a car. Because the brain gets used to it and it doesn't view it as a gain anymore. So if you can practice only looking at your gains, here's another thing. Comparison is the thief of joy. You cannot compare to anyone else. And at conferences, it's easy to compare because you'll have someone and they'll say, oh, I've been doing it 6 months and I've made $6 million. And you're like, what the hell? Like, what is going on? and this is the thing. You may not know that this is that person's 10th business. They have failed 10 times miserably, and now they've kind of figured out this business model thing. So even though they may be new to this industry, business is business overall. If you can really make a business grow and thrive, that's why you see a lot of these billionaires. They don't just have one industry, they have several, because once you figure it out, you can duplicate that in other. And then this is the thing, you don't know how this person was funded.
Right.
This person could have had $3 million to start off with, right? And so you got to stay in your lane. You are the only one in your race, and it will steal your joy comparing to someone else. Social media is another one. Let me just tell you, I peek behind the curtain because I'm helping these ladies, and their social media looks fabulous, amazing. They're on turquoise waters. They look like they're in love, but what they didn't tell you is that yesterday they just told me their husband was cheating and they're contemplating divorce, but you wouldn't see that on social media. So guys, please don't compare. You might think that person, just like when I was depressed, I wasn't posting it and telling the world. I didn't tell the world we just lost our house because my business went under. You think I posted that? No. I don't even think we had Facebook then, but I wouldn't have posted it. Right? I wouldn't have posted that because I'm not where I am now. Now I know that I can share these things because it might help someone else who's going through that silently by themselves. But social media is just a highlight reel. And the more time you spend on it, the more time you will compare because it's just human nature.
What's wrong? Oh, we got 4 minutes.
Okay. I'm pretty much done. Almost there. Okay, this is the last one. Embrace who you are. Because if you fight who you are, it is like putting a fire hose in this container, guys. You have to embrace who you are. Don't let FOPO, I heard this is amazing. It's not FOMO, it's fear of people's opinions. Get in the way. Do not let it. It will kill this container. If you're a people pleaser, start observing your actions. Think about everything you do during the day. Are you saying, well, what are they going to say about this? Or what are they going to think about this? Or what will so-and-so think if I do this? If that, you're killing your container. No one has a right to define you but you. I want you to get that. When you let others define you, you will live a miserable life because it's inauthentic. It's not who you are. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be the underdog. It's okay to be the minority. It's okay to go against the grain. And guys, that's what you're doing right now. You are women in pest control. I want you to think about that. Like, you are going against the grain. I've never heard a girl say, I want to be a woman in pest control when I grow up. Have you? Like, you guys are doing the thing. And I want you to understand that what you're doing, we need it, right? I don't want to live with the bugs, and neither does the rest of America and Australia. We don't want to live with it. And so this is one of your most prized possessions. What will you do now that you know? What will you do with it now that you know? You have to protect it, guys. So, who am I? I'm a Black woman who is neurospicy, diagnosed with ADHD in 1978 at 5 years old. I've been told directly and indirectly what I can't do and who I can't be. How college would be difficult for me. But I graduated in the top 10% of my class with 2 degrees because I refused to listen to what others had to say. Who are you? You are resilient, you are strong, you are different, and you are worthy to achieve all of your dreams and goals. You just have to remember that if you don't protect this, you will not be able to have a happy, balanced life. So walking on the moon was once impossible. Flying a plane was once impossible. Women voting was once illegal and impossible. Women creating $1 billion business was once impossible. Women working in pest control was once impossible until it was done. Here's to the underdogs, to those who are constantly told what they can't do. I raise my glass to you. I'm going to leave you with this quick point. Okay. So let's see if you know this poet. So raise your glass if you are wrong in all the right ways. All my underdogs, we will never be anything but loud and nitty-gritty, dirty little freaks. And you're treated like a fool. You can choose to let it go. We can always party on our own. And that's what you're doing right now, guys. Won't you come on and raise your glass? Just come on and raise your glass. Don't let anything stop you. Keep going.